Hey guys, TKC here, the Kaijudo channel. Very short Kaijudo news video, but something really awesome has come out of the news this week. We found out that there's going to be a new product coming out before Christmas. So not the February Dragon Box thing, not Dragon Strike Infinite in March, but we're actually going to be having this kind of awesome, neat little product before Christmas comes around. It's going to be coming out December 17th. It is called the 2-Player Battle Box. Now, get this box is filled with some awesome stuff. It's got both decks from Rise of the Duel Masters, so you get one copy of Sonic Blast and one copy of Rocket Storm, which is awesome because Dark Scarred Orbital is the best super rare out of the decks for sure. And I'm definitely going to be getting one of these because of the fact that I only have 2 Dark Scarred Orbital, and it'd be really nice to have 3. But not only do you get those 2 decks, you also get 4 booster packs in this box as well. So instead of getting the 2 booster packs that you'd originally get in the decks, you're actually getting another 2 booster packs on top of that. And to top it all off, this is all usually worth $30 worth of Kaijudo product. But it's actually going to cost only $10. That's right. I mean, this is less than the price of just one deck. Just one. But then you also throw in the other deck and the other 3 boosters, and you get this awesome thing. Now, it says here that it's going to be coming out December 17th to a store near you, so I'm thinking that this is actually going to be a retail product. It's probably not going to be in local card shops, but I may be wrong. There's no official wording on it or anything. But when I see store near you, I'm kind of thinking Walmart, Toys R Us again. And even if you look at the packaging right here, the packaging does kind of look more like a retail kind of item. It doesn't look like a thing you just kind of stock up on a store shelf. So I'm highly thinking that this is going to be one of those kind of retail products. But this is definitely worth it to get players into Kaijudo. I believe they're doing this mainly because they want to get the game out there and they want to get it out there in a cheap fashion, you know. Buying cards is not the cheapest thing in the world. You got to buy lots of products and stuff like that. Of course, you could buy individual cards online. A lot of people do that as well. But to build up a collection, you kind of need to buy some packs, buy some decks and stuff like that. And so this is perfect for starting players. I mean, you get 2 decks right out the box. You can play with them. But even for, experienced players who want to build up their collection even more, this is just $10 for a bucket load of cards. You get, let's see if I can do the math here. It's 2 40-card decks, so that's 80 cards, and then 4 booster packs, it's 36. You're getting 110 cards for the price of $10. Yeah, that's pretty much like 9 cents per card, that's really not much. So that's pretty much it as far as news go, nothing too special. But I'm actually going to go into another topic right now, which I feel like I need to bring up. So a lot of people have been messaging me about certain videos where I mention certain deck types, like Rush, like Aggro, like Control, like Combo, etc. Now, there are a lot of new trading card game players out there who don't really know what these terms mean. So hopefully this video will actually help those people out and get them more informed about the different coin terms for these kinds of decks, because they're very different from themselves and they play out very differently in games. So we're going to start off with the Rush deck. Rush deck is pretty simple. You want to win the game as fast as possible, hence why it's called Rush. You're rushing to win the game. So to do that, you need to break all their shields as fast as you can and then hit them directly. And to do that, you need cheap creatures. So for example, we have cards like Blaze Belcher that are only level 1. So you can get this card out as soon as turn 1. And then turn 2, you can attack with this. And so that's basically the whole purpose of a deck like this. You want to swarm the field with creatures regardless of what else is going on in the game. And you want to clear their field of anything that's in the way of your creatures, and you just simply go for their shields and hope for the best. Rush decks, they're probably not the most consistent decks in the world. It's kind of unexpected. You just kind of hope that you get all your cheap creatures out and get it exactly how you want to play it, and you just keep on rushing in for shields and hope that there's no shield blast that will mess you up, like Barrage and Tendril Grasp, for example, because they clear out pretty much most of your field. So you pretty much just play cheap creatures like Blaze Belcher and these Dracons. Then you could evolve the Laser Arm Dracons on top of them because they're amazing. They're double breakers, 6,000 power when they attack. And, Gila Flame and stuff. There's tons of options. And then, of course, you want to have a couple of spells to actually get rid of blockers, especially Comet Missile. You need Comet Missile, and then there's some other options here. But these are just fire cards. I'm just using examples from my Fire Rush deck. Alright, the next deck I'm going to talk about is Aggro. Aggro can be defined in many different ways, but it's basically a deck that doesn't want to rush towards shields right away, but it wants to put pressure on your opponent with these big creatures. So while Rush has the cheap creatures that just want to win as fast as possible, Aggro has the, I wouldn't say cheap cards, but I want to say the powerful cards as far as like power goes, or, cheap removal spells is what it would be using. Like this Comet Missile is another common card in aggro decks. Aggro decks typically like to use fire and nature, but you can go into many other civilizations as well. You can go to water for draw and bounce cards like Veiled Vortex, Rusalka. Getting creatures off the board and getting big creatures on your board is pretty much what aggro wants to do. And so aggro, it does have some of the fast attack creatures like Bolt-tailed Dragon, Gilliflame, and some evolutions as well, like Bronze Arm Sabertooth would be a really good example, because it's a level 4 7,000 power creature that evolves on a Beastkin, which are relatively cheap creatures, and it double breaks for 7,000, and if it gets removed off the field, you get 2 mana, because the whole evolution creature goes into your mana. So aggro decks actually kind of are more concerned about their creatures and the cards in their hand, whereas Rush is just like, I want to win now. And then the last common deck is Control. Control are the pretty much slowest decks in Kaijudo. So control decks like to start off really slow. They want to kind of defend themselves in the early to mid game, and constantly find little advantages throughout the game, like drawing cards for yourself, or discarding cards from your opponent's hand, or even banishing their creatures. So for a good example for that would be like draw cards would be like Aqua Seneschal and Logo Scan. These are the most common cards you want to use in a control deck. Like water is probably one of the most essential civilizations you'll need in a control deck to keep your hand at a decent size, so you have a lot of options at your disposal going on till the end of the game. And then you have disruption cards like Fumes, which discards a card out of their hand, but they get to choose, or Skull Shatter, which discards their whole hand, which is crazy. And then you have some powerful removal spells like Terror Pit to get rid of their annoying creatures. And then while you're doing all that and building up your hand, building up your field with all these cards, you want to end the game with your big finisher card. And I'm just going to show you some examples here. Typically, Fire has the best finishers, so cards like Tatsira the Unchained, when it comes into battle, banishes a 4,000 or less. And then when this wins a battle, you can actually untap and then go for another shield or 2, because it's double breaker. You also got Bolt-tailed Dragon. It's probably one of the best ones because it has fast attack, which actually lets it attack the turn you summon it. So you could just randomly come out of nowhere and get rid of one of their creatures, or just go in for 2 shields unexpectedly. And then the opponent is just kind of wondering what to do about the Bolt-tail because it just came out of nowhere. And one of my favorites anyway is the League promo from Rise of the Duel Masters, which is Mortar the Vengeful. It's really awesome. Double breaker, 8,000 power, level 9. And you banish 2 of their 4,000 or less creatures, which is awesome. You get to banish 2 creatures. But that's not to say that Fire is the only civilization that has good finishers. For example, Nature has Terror Dragon Regarion Doom, which is this big nature dragon at 8,000 power, and it sends one of their level 8 or less creatures to their mana zone. So you could pretty much get rid of this Bolt-tail over here and put it in mana, or Tatsira the Unchained, or other cards like that. And then we got Light, we got Orion Radiant Fury, for example. It's just this big dragon as well, 10,500 power. And when you play this, you tap 3 of their creatures. And if they somehow find a way to get rid of this and banish this, you actually have a chance of playing more creatures by looking at the top 3 cards of your deck, and if any are light creatures, you play them. And then there's kind of another kind of deck that's kind of like off from the 3 that I mentioned earlier. It's like combo decks. So maybe down the road, or maybe even now, we have some decks that are considered like combo decks. Like basically your deck has this combo that it really wants to get off, and that's how you want to win the game usually. So the best example I could give you for a combo deck would be Lepidus the Ancient, whose effect is when one of your creatures wins a battle, you send one of your opponent's shields to the mana zone, meaning that the Shield Blast effect does not work. So you could build a combo deck based around Lepidus and run a lot of cards that somehow allows you to banish a lot of their creatures using your own creatures. So the most obvious combo would be to play Lepidose and then play Orion Radiant Fury, tapping, you know, most of their field, if not all of it, and then attacking with Lepidose, and then big blockers, like light blockers, like Keeper of Clouds and stuff, to get rid of their creatures, and then you're just getting rid of their shield one by one and winning the game like that. Another example would be Hyperspeed decks. Hyperspeed Dragon is the card where it gives all of your Armored Dragons fast attack. So you could build a deck around Hyperspeed, and your main combo is pretty much to get him on the field and then play Armored Dragons that get to attack the turn you summon them. So for all you guys wondering why I kept on throwing out those terms, maybe this gives you a better idea of what these different deck types are. And other than that, hope you enjoyed the video, hope you learned something new for the newer players out there, and hope you guys had a nice day. Alright guys, see you later.